Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Please make Good afternoon, everyone. Please be seated. Thank you. So welcome to the second annual Military Appreciation Day here in the historic House Chamber of the Massachusetts State House. My name is Andrea Gail Bennett, and I serve as the Deputy Secretary for the Executive Office of Veterans Services. What began last year as a new tradition has now become an annual observance that pays lasting tribute to those who have served and those who continue to serve our nation with courage, integrity, and honor. At this time, I'd like to recognize the Secretary at Arms.
Madam Secretary, Her Excellency Laura Healey, Governor of the Commonwealth, joined by her distinguished guests, First Lady Joanna Lydgate, the Honorable Jim Driscoll, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, Senator Mike Clark, Representative Paul Donato, Secretary of the Executive Office of Veterans Affairs, Eric Correlli, and Brigadier General Chris Heckler.
Please admit Her Excellency Maura Healey, Governor of the Commonwealth, and her distinguished guests. To begin our program, we invite to the podium members of our Gold Star community, Robin Abbott, Peggy Griffin, and Barbara Burt, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. For those willing and able, please remain standing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Robin, Peggy, and Barbara. Please remain standing and join us for the singing of our national anthem, performed by Sergeant Amy Fisherer from the Massachusetts National Guard's 215th Army Band.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free
Thank you, Sergeant Fischera. You may be seated. It is now my great honor to introduce the Secretary of the Executive Office of Veteran Services, Eric Goralnik.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here today. This is awesome, huh? It's amazing. Governor, First Lady, Lieutenant Governor, Senator Rush, and Leader Donato, thank you all for your support, your staunch support of veterans and your commitment to our community. Thank you to the Speaker and the House Court officers for opening up this historic chamber for us today. We're grateful for Brigadier General Sellers and Sarah Sweeney from the Military Friends Foundation and all their commitment and dedication to our community of veterans here in Massachusetts. I also want to especially thank the Gold Star's wives and families for your continued commitment to us. I also want to take a minute to acknowledge our staff at the Executive Office of Veteran Services, our staff across the governor's team and across the legislature who put so much time and effort into putting this into place. Thank you so much for all your effort. This is the second Military Appreciation Day of the Commonwealth. It's a day to pause and to honor those who have served and continue to serve, and their families that support them. These veterans, you shape our community every day, and you step up. You step up to help your sister, your brother, your fellow veteran. And as a fellow veteran, it's so meaningful for me to see that on the front lines. People like Ken Levesque, the Executive Director of the Veteran Association of Bristol County. Ken is the driving force behind a powerful service hub that provides food, clothing, and outreach to veterans in Massachusetts. Malika Whitley, an Army veteran who pays it forward every day through dedicated work at the Fogg Roberts American Legion Post in Hyde Park. Ronnie Senna, an Air Force veteran who's had served in Vietnam, who remains deeply committed to his community, volunteers in elder care, and supports fellow Everett veterans. And Joseph Anthony Blazo, another Vietnam veteran, who's dedicated his post-service life to helping others at the VFW Post 144 in the North End. These are just some of the stories of these amazing heroes. You have stepped up. More than 135 of you are being honored today for the work that you do on the ground in the communities. You're the real trust brokers. You're the foundation of veteran services in our communities, and thank you for that. So this week marks my first 90 days in this role. And frankly, I'm in awe. I've spent these 90 days listening, touring the Commonwealth, hearing from you, hearing about what's working, what the challenges are. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see people stepping up to help with things like distributing food, providing shelter and short-term and long-term housing, mental health counseling, calling a peer or a friend and help them through that tough spot. These are just some of the stories that really are a testament to the commitment and dedication that you have and that our Commonwealth has for you as veterans. You send a clear message, which is, sister or brother, I will show up. I will care for you. I'm here for you. And it's an honor and privilege for our team at the Executive Office of Veterans and Services to partner with you, to help you in this journey. And I'm looking forward to the next chapter as we evolve at EOVS. Now, speaking of individuals who have stepped up and helped us and cared for our fellow veterans, it's an honor and a privilege to introduce someone who's been on the front line helping us care and improve care for our veterans and their families in the state, Governor Healey. Governor is very pro-veteran, and she backs it up with action. In the last 3 years in partnership with the legislature, this administration has transformed our veteran homes at Chelsea and Holyoke, which is about to open this fall. They've been certified by CMS, by the Veterans Administration, the Department of Public Health, and provide the highest quality and safest care that you can imagine for a healthcare facility. She's led the effort to combat veteran homelessness and has established both short-term and long-term housing for many veterans across the state. And again, in partnership with the legislature, Governor Healey has signed the most comprehensive law to support veterans in Massachusetts called the HERO Act. Thank you, Governor, for all that you've done for us.
Thank you, Secretary, and thank you for your service. You've been doing a terrific job as you've onboarded here to Veterans Services. And, you know, I have to say, I love this event. We started this a couple years ago, and I think it's just a really terrifically important thing to do. This is our second annual Military Appreciation Day in the Massachusetts State House. The fact of the matter, every day is Military Appreciation Day in our administration and in this building. And it's something that I really want to be felt across the state. You know, I think about the men and women who are in harm's way right now, who are serving. I think about their families. And every day, we as a state and as a country should think about them and should think about the veterans, those who have served. Joanna and I started this morning, along with Secretary Guralnick, on the Common. You may be aware, 37,000 flags on the Common in honor of our fallen loved ones. And it's a particularly poignant and important experience. And one of the things for me that I like to see is to see the young people there, people who bring their kids, their grandkids, their nieces, their nephews. It's really important that we, generation after generation, remember and honor those who serve, those who have certainly given the ultimate sacrifice, their families, and our military in all ways, who make possible all things and freedoms that we enjoy today. So many thanks to Secretary Guralnick, the team at Veterans Services, our Deputy Secretary, Gail Bennett, and our Veterans Advocate, Bob Notch. Thank you all. In a moment, you're going to hear from Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, from a military family as well, herself. And we're just delighted to be here this afternoon, forgive me. We're in this beautiful chamber. How many of you is this the first time for anyone in this chamber? Right? That's cool. That's cool. Okay, well, make sure you look up. Don't look at me. Look up and look around. This is the house. It's very important. Where's the sacred cod? That's a sacred cod up there, okay? Years ago, there's a great story. Somebody came in the middle of the night and stole it. It was subject of a lot of controversy, but it was restored to its rightful place there. That's our sacred cod here in the state. And then the Senate got, I think, a little envious, and they have hanging in their beautiful chamber the holy mackerel, okay? So you can go down there. I think that is true. But many thanks to our members of the legislature for the continued funding and support that you provide to our veterans and our military families. I want to thank our Veterans Committee chairs, Representative Joe McGonigal, Senator John Velas, who has just returned from serving abroad. Good to have you home, Senator, and thank you for your service. Senator Mike Rush, who's with us today, and Leader Paul Donato. Thank you to all members of the legislature who partner in so many ways, including by providing nominations to my administration for the folks we honor today. So too many to name, and I can't see that well, so I'm not going to do that, but we have so many members of the House and Senate in the chamber this morning. I appreciate you all. I also want to recognize military leaders who are here from our Massachusetts National Guard, first in the nation and best in the nation, General Keefe and the team. We have leaders from our military installations. We want to thank you for all you do for the national defense of this country. So much is happening out of Massachusetts. So much of the technology that is deployed around the world today comes from Massachusetts, and we are very, very proud of the men and women across our military installations. Thank you for training and guiding so many thousands of service members who make our state and country strong. I also want to acknowledge the Hanscom Air Force Base community. Our thoughts are with you and with the Hanscom Air Force family over the sudden loss just yesterday of one of their active duty service members. So remember that gentleman. That, of course, is a loss for our state, and it's another reminder of why we should be thanking and supporting those who serve every single day. We're delighted that Brigadier General Chris Hackler is here and his wife Sunny. Thank you for your agreeing to speak to us this afternoon. Your leadership at DevCom and the Natick Soldier Systems Center is a really great example of the innovation and support that Massachusetts provides to the nation. Thank you for all you do with our administration through our military task force, and thank you for what you do for the town of Natick and the surrounding ecosystem. All of the service members here today from the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, Space Force, we thank all of you and welcome all of you. Thank you to our Gold Star wives and families of the fallen, to Peggy Griffin, Barbara Burt, Robin Abbott. Thank you for leading us this morning. You are always in our hearts and prayers. We have leaders from great organizations like our veteran service organizations. We have VSOs in the room. That's great. Thank you for all you do, as well as the American Legion, the VFW, and the DAV. And to General Sellers, Sarah Sweeney, and the Mass Military Friends Foundation, thank you so much for what you do. You are the engine behind the scenes of so much, including today, and I know also when this is concluded, you've provided the refreshments. So thank you to General Sellers, Sarah, and the team. We've got 138 veterans that we're honoring today here at this ceremony. Congratulations and congratulations on your well-deserved honor. And this is a pretty special year to receive it. We're celebrating 250 years of this great country of ours. I referenced this chamber. If you look above, you'll see some of the historic murals there and the memorials on this wall. They're here in this chamber. They're throughout the building. And you know, part of the story they tell is the story of this great country of ours, which started years ago, and were it not for the extraordinary acts of some ordinary people, tradesmen, farmers, shopkeepers, men and women, who stepped forward to stand up for their rights, to stand up for freedom, to stand up for their communities, we would not be where we are today. Our nation's great military tradition actually began right here in Massachusetts. Not only are we home to the National Guard, we are also the birthplace of the Navy, the Coast Guard. I'll claim the Marines because that's where George Washington actually sent the order. You know, and what I think about is this unbroken line of service that has continued generation after generation, decade after decade, century after century here in Massachusetts and across the United States. And the unbroken line of service, men and women who step forward, who make possible and safeguard all that we hold dear. It is a tradition that fills each and every one of us with pride, and it also gives us a responsibility. And it's our responsibility as elected officials, sure, but also as citizens to make sure that we are supporting our military and our veterans. As Secretary Gorelnik said, that has been a centerpiece of our administration. I'm proud of the work that we were able to do together when the legislature made me the first governor with the power to establish a cabinet-level Veterans Affairs Secretariat. We passed the HERO Act together, the most pro-veteran legislation in the country. We recently launched the SHIELD Defense Initiative, which is now creating and enhancing ways to support our veterans and our military, as well as military family employment opportunities here in Massachusetts. Don't forget about those. Those who serve come with loved ones, and we want to make sure that they're employed and taken care of as well. And we're proud of the work that we've done to work to end veterans' homelessness, as well as rebuild 2 spectacular veterans' homes. And I want to thank everybody in this chamber who supported the work that's gone on out in Holyoke and nearby here in Chelsea. Now, military service alone is more than enough reason for the highest recognition from government. But we know that the commitment to service goes beyond your time in the uniform. We know that, and we know that's something that ethos around service is something you just cannot shake. It's part of who you are. And the stories that we reviewed from the legislators who nominated you are incredible. Your police officers, firefighters, first responders, your teachers, your coaches, your town meeting members, board chairs, civic leaders, your Little League coaches. Some of you instruct driver's ed. God bless. Thank you. Yeah. We have a 15-year-old at home. Yeah. No, seriously, you're running small businesses, nonprofits, right? The heartbeat, the engine of our communities. And you serve your fellow veterans as post commanders, veteran service officers, and more. Some of you are retirees who volunteer and mentor. And you're often leading efforts to honor your fallen comrades who never made it home, as we do and think about this Memorial Day. Across Massachusetts, you know, one of the things I love in working with veterans and military families is not only do they understand how important it is, service, but they understand how important it is to build a community around that, to inspire other people to service and to bring people into that experience. And I want to thank you for what you do and the glue that you provide in what are trying times, let's face it, for our country, for our world. Know that what you do, that ethos of working together, of staying together, of hanging together, and bringing others in to a common mission for a common good is super, super important. I respect that. And we honor that today. So today and every day, we recognize you, we thank you, we honor you. God bless our veterans, and God bless all the great men and women of the armed forces of the United States of America. And now it's my honor to introduce our Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll. She'll tell you she was maybe she won't, the mayor of Salem for many, many years and was part of the muster. And she can tell you the exact year in 1630, whatever it was. That's the first muster of the National Guard. That's why we are the birthplace of the National Guard in the United States of America. More than that, Kim Driscoll comes from a military family. I'm particularly grateful to her dad, who served in the United States Navy, and maybe were it not for his service, she would not have ended up in Massachusetts. So I am particularly grateful to your dad, and want to bring up our great teammate and friend, Kim Driscoll.
Thank you, Governor. Members of the legislature, Secretary Gorelnik, local veteran service officers, our VSOs, and of course, guests. And most importantly, special thank you to our military members, veterans, and Gold Star families. It is such a pleasure to have you in this chamber and to be able to uplift and celebrate the work that you do every day. Thank you for protecting our country, advancing freedom, and always being there for the people of Massachusetts in our times of need and, frankly, every day. The importance and impact of military service is something that's pretty personal for me, as the governor noted. I have the great honor of being both a military daughter and a military mom. My dad served in the Navy for over 20 years. I was born in Hawaii. We lived all over. Like any military family knows, you're deployed quite frequently to different places. And as the governor described, service ran through his entire life. And service is something he imparted to his children, 4 daughters. And a big reason why I'm a public servant today, no doubt about it. And it's continued into another generation in our family. My son is the newly commissioned 2nd Lieutenant in the Massachusetts National Guard, and we could not be more proud of him. General Keefe, we're adding one more to the ranks, okay? He was commissioned last Wednesday. He graduated from WPI on Friday, and he leaves for Fort Sill in Oklahoma in October. So he's got a big year ahead of him. I also want to recognize the families that are here today. As somebody who is part of the military family, you know, no one really serves alone. Your family serves with you. And I want to recognize both the sacrifices and the celebrations you provide to those that serve in your family. We're deeply grateful for all that you do to support your veteran or service member, and I'm honored to be a member of this community myself. You know, the governor talked about all the ways we strive as an administration to support veterans and service members. We're quite competitive. We do want to be the best state and are proud to be the best state for veteran services. I want to add one more way that we value military service in Massachusetts. That is by making it central to our economy. I think many people don't realize that Massachusetts really is a defense state. We are a leader in the defense industry. We're one of the top 10 states for defense spending. The defense sector employs 130,000 people in Massachusetts and is responsible for $48 billion of our state GDP, roughly 7% of the total. That's on par with our biotech sector. We talk a lot about life sciences and biotech and the importance that is to our economy. We're right there in terms of defense sector spending. That's R&D, that's manufacturing, that's a lot of jobs. So we know national security and economic growth go hand in hand, and we've really leaned hard into that. Last year, we launched something called SHIELD. It stands for Strategic Hub for Innovation, Exchange, and Leadership in Defense. And SHIELD is really about driving economic growth by elevating our role as a defense hub. Think about it. We are leaders in research and science and the integration of technology to save lives in so many ways. All of that same star power is being driven to support how we safeguard our nation, how we protect servicemen and women while they're serving. We're able to do that because of the talent and capability at our military installations. We have the people, the technology, and the drive to help safeguard the nation, better protect the men and women serving, and to create a lot of jobs in our state along the way. Through SHIELD, we're aligning advanced manufacturing, applied research, and emerging technologies from AI to cybersecurity to next-generation energy systems into one cohesive strategy. There's no doubt, as we think about the future, some of the most successful ways we'll save lives on battlefields and make sure that we're producing the equipment that can be necessary to safeguard our nation will be born right here in Massachusetts. We're building the next chapter of our military legacy, a defense ecosystem that is innovative, resilient, and coordinated. That's how we ensure right here in Massachusetts the military tradition our founders established, and all of you have upheld and kept strong. Our young people can have more opportunities, both in the military and in industry, and our nation can stay protected and prosperous. You know, every day in April, we do have a muster on the Common in Salem, my hometown. It's my adopted hometown, I should say. And there's such a great deal of pride in being able to celebrate the place where people came together, like the greatest act of collective action, working to protect each other from dangers, being willing to train and muster. In April, it's usually the coldest Saturday of the month when we're there. Nonetheless, hundreds, if not thousands of people are there to celebrate this proud part of our history in a city and a state that has an embarrassment of riches when it comes to history. Some of our opportunities to claim things like the birthplace of the National Guard and the birthplace of so many of our military branches are still the thing we cling to and are very proud of. So I want to thank those being honored here today for your service to our country, for making our state strong. We truly stand on your shoulders and are so grateful for all that you do. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Governor and Lieutenant Governor. Thank you so much. Thank you for your commitment in supporting our veterans today and every day. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct honor and privilege now to introduce today's keynote speaker, a leader whose career reflects a deep commitment to service, innovation, and the future of our nation's defense. Brigadier General Chris Hackler currently serves as the Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army Combat Capabilities Development Command, known as DEVCOM, where he helps lead the Army's effort in experimentation, analytics, and the development of next-generation capabilities for our warfighters. Here in Massachusetts, he also serves as the Senior Commander of the U.S. Army Natick Soldier Systems Center, strengthening the partnership between the United States Army, our communities, academic institutions, and our region's world-class innovation ecosystem. General Hackler's journey in service began as an enlisted combat engineer in the Missouri Army National Guard before he was commissioned as an infantry officer. Over the course of his distinguished career, he has served in command and leadership roles across the globe, including deployments to Iraq, South Korea, and Afghanistan. In addition to his operational experience, General Hackler has been a leader in the fields of operations research, strategic analysis, and modernization, helping ensure that America's soldiers are equipped, prepared, and positioned to meet the challenges of a rapidly evolving world. His career embodies the values of leadership, service, and lifelong commitment to those who wear the uniform. Please join me in welcoming a distinguished soldier, innovator, and public service, Brigadier General Chris Hackler.
So it's a very humbling event. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for that warm welcome. Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, thank you for organizing this remarkable event. Your leadership and commitment to caring for our service members, veterans, and their families ensures that Massachusetts stands alone as a leader in veteran support in the nation. Gathering so many leaders, service members, and families in the historic chamber is a powerful statement to how deeply Massachusetts values its military community. To our Gold Star families, our nation owes you a debt we can never fully repay. Your presence is a solemn tribute to those who sacrificed everything. We honor your loved ones, and we pledge never to forget their sacrifice. To our honorees today and our distinguished guests, I am humbled and honored to be here and counted among your ranks. This year is an incredibly special year. We are approaching America's 250th birthday. For 2.5 centuries, through times of peace and conflict, our nation's military has stood as a symbol of America's unwavering commitment to its founding principles: freedom, liberty, and democracy. Nowhere is that legacy more deeply rooted than right here in the Commonwealth. We are gathered just miles from where our military history began. It was here at Lexington and Concord where the very first armed engagements of the Revolution sparked the Continental Army. For those brave Minutemen to our present-day forces, our military constantly adapted, from muskets to hypersonic weapons. But our constant, true source of strength remains our people. America's 250th anniversary is a powerful reminder that the story of our military is intertwined with the story of America itself. Looking back at that legacy reminds us that every generation is asked to find their way to contribute to our nation's prosperity. It reminds us that when we combine patriotism with purpose, we continue to make history. For me, that purpose was found in uniform. I grew up in a small rural town and joined the Missouri National Guard on my 18th birthday with no intention of dedicating my life to service. As a young man, I was inspired to join the Army by the veterans in my family and my local community. I did not understand their camaraderie or the depth of their shared experiences, but I knew they were different and they served something bigger than themselves. More than 3 decades later, I am still driven by a need to be part of something that provides meaning and fulfillment, to contribute to a cause greater than myself, and to stand alongside others who share that same sense of purpose. And today, I'm proud to serve alongside my son, who carries forward the tradition of service in our family. This is not just a profession, it's a lifelong commitment. When I think about what it means to serve and lead others, I'm reminded that true leaders care for others, and everybody needs a leader to guide them. In my first unit as a young private in the National Guard, outstanding Americans taught me that a leader must always care for their people, and that care must be genuine. These were not only leaders in my unit, they were leaders in my community: high school teachers, local police officers, Little League coaches. Like the honorees here today, they dedicated their lives to caring for others in and out of uniform. And the example they set continues to shape me today. The other lesson is that everybody needs a leader. I was lucky enough to spend my first 2 years on active duty serving with the last Vietnam veterans. My first encounter with one of those veterans was when First Sergeant Mace was gently correcting non-commissioned officers for failing to mentor and lead young officers in my company. That taught me that no matter my rank or position, I still needed a leader to guide me. Throughout my career, I have only been successful when others have taken it upon themselves to provide leadership and guidance, regardless of rank or position. But the greatest lesson the military taught me wasn't about leadership, tactics, or strategy. It is that to serve is to sacrifice, and service is never born alone. Our service members, veterans, and families give up comfort, time, and sometimes their very lives so that others may live in peace and security. Behind every uniform stands a spouse, a parent, a child, a sibling, and loved ones who shoulder the burdens of separation, uncertainty, and worry. I know this personally. The only reason I've been able to serve in the Army this long is the love and support of my wife, Sunny, who's with us here today. Sunny has been our family's anchor. Every deployment, every move, every challenge. Her strength and understanding has made our service possible, and I am forever grateful. And I know my story is not unique. Behind every service member, a spouse, a child, or a family member whose sacrifices, encouragement, and resilience make service possible. It is this unwavering support of military families everywhere that allows our armed forces to stand strong. These experiences continue to teach me that true leadership is about service to others. It is about waking up every day and asking how you can support the men and women to your left and your right. And that brings me to why we are gathered here today. The ethos of service is a permanent commitment to our fellow citizens. To the current service members being honored today, you balance the rigorous demands of military readiness with your roles as community leaders in the Commonwealth. You prove every day that one can serve their country and their local community simultaneously. To our veterans and advocates, you have proven that the transition to civilian life is simply a change of mission. You have taken the leadership, the discipline, and the resilience forged in the military and brought it back to your hometowns. Together, the men and women in this room run local businesses, serve in the government, lead nonprofits, and mentor the next generation. You show us why it is so critically important that we recognize our service members, not just for what they do in distant lands or on active duty, but for the countless ways they enrich the fabric of Massachusetts every single day. We also know that service is never a solo endeavor. To the military spouses in the room, you manage the home front with a quiet, fierce strength. Your resilience allows our forces to focus on the mission at hand. And we know that military children serve too, endure missed birthdays, and frequent moves with incredible maturity. You didn't take an oath, but your sacrifices are real, and we are incredibly proud of you. From deterring adversaries across the globe to responding to natural disasters and supporting civil authorities here at home, our service members remain on watch 24 hours a day, providing the stability our nation requires to thrive. That is why this event is so profoundly important. It is more than just a ceremony. It is a public declaration of the Commonwealth's values. When so many leaders of Massachusetts gather in this historic chamber to look our military community in the eye and say thank you, it sends a powerful message that your sacrifices are seen and your contributions are indispensable. For 250 years, Americans have fought to secure the promise of freedom, but our independence is not just in the past. It relies on our continuous efforts to protect our values and unite for a better future. As we celebrate America's 250th, we honor all who have contributed to our nation's story. From the founding generation to the extraordinary men and women in this room today, you are the reason our story continues. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your continued dedication to this Commonwealth.
Thank you, thank you, General Hackler, for your leadership and your inspiring words, and for your dedicated service to both the Commonwealth and the nation. At this time, we're privileged to recognize the honorees who have been selected by their state senators and representatives for their service, sacrifice, and contributions to their communities and the country. Out of respect for every individual being recognized today, we kindly ask that there be no applause or interruptions during the reading of the names so that each honoree may receive the same measure of dignity and acknowledgement. I have to admit, I'm one of those people that interrupts. We thank you for your cooperation in preserving the significance of this occasion. To the honorees, when your name is announced, please rise if you're able, and remain standing until the recognition of all honorees has been completed. Steve Edelman from Middleborough. Raymond Audit from Fall River. Dan Badger from Carver. Roger Baez, Fort Devens. Brendan Baker from Munson. Lyle R. Baker from Chestnut Hill. Delfo Barbabini from Chicopee, Paul Barabini, Chicopee, Michael Baudet, Stoughton, Brian Billieu, Westport, Corrine Beckett, Chelsea, Thomas Beater, Hopedale, Thomas Belton, Springfield, Frederick Bender, Jr., Westfield, Paul Bergeron, Sharon, Andrew Biggio, East Boston, Joseph Anthony Blazo, Boston, Janiyah Booker, Hanson, Brian Bornman, Townsend, Leon Boss from Auburn, Rohan Brewster from Worcester, Frank Brown from Northborough, William Byrne from Newton, Ronald Cabral, Swansea, John Caffarelli, Revere, Gary Cameron, Norton, James Campbell, Randolph, Sheldon Karp from Worcester, Edward Carr from Natick, Matthew Ching from Needham, Brendan Chipperini from Gloucester, Alonzo Chisholm from Burlington, Paul Keeson from Ludlow, Charles Clark from Beverly, Thomas Coffey from West Springfield, Scott Connor from Spencer, Stephen J. Connor from Lenox, Andrew W. Coville from West Yarmouth, Thomas Daly from Cohasset, Kirsten Davis from Raynham, Robert M. Davis from Woburn, Cynthia Deloria from Easton, Sam Dillon from Boston, Art Dobson from Shrewsbury, Bruce Duarte from New Bedford, Kelly Durkee Irwin from Waltham, Kenneth English Jr. from Pepperell, Gregory Fairbank from Carlisle, Dudley Farquhar from Merrimack, Juan Vasquez Figueroa from Lawrence, Deborah A. Freed, Framingham, James F. Gaffney from Lowell, Stephen Gregg, South Boston, Margaret Peggy Griffin from Wellesley, Jane Van Zinn from Taunton, James Haggerty from Edgartown, Eugene Herman from Amherst, David Rubin, North Andover, Kevin Jarvis, Georgetown, Keith German, Hingham, Freeman Johnson, Centerville, Thomas Keating, Needham, Kathleen Keegan, Pembroke, Ronald Cohan from Everett, Dr. Paul Kim from Cambridge, Arafat Knight from Canton, Leonard Kondrachuk from Belmont, Barry Kuntz from Dracut, Mark Landry from Dudley, Scott LaRiviere from Sutton, Joseph LeBlanc from North Andover, Daniel Paul Letourneau from Bellingham, Ken Levesque from Fall River, Angel M. Lopez from Lawrence, Thomas J. Loney from Fall River, Bill Magnan from Billerica, Albert Mangone from Peabody, Raymond Mateo Jr. from Springfield, Anton F. Materna from Rockland, Leland McDonald from Hamilton, Patrick McDonough from Boston, Paul J. McGee from Plymouth, Robert McLaughlin from Brighton, Kevin McNamara from Auburndale, Sean McPherson, Weymouth, Alan Millett, Fitchburg, Thomas Moran from Salem, Henry Morris, Pittsfield, Michael T. Morrison from Beverly, Gabriel Majirian from Ashland, Thomas Murphy from South Boston, Penny Mouchette from Melrose, Mark Nestor from Gloucester, Gabriel Nutter, Leominster, Anthony T. O'Brien Sr. from Pembroke, John L. O'Connor from Brockton, Alexei Orloff from Leicester, Sean Osborne from Lexington, John Pajek from Ware, Alfred J. Picard from Chicopee, Gregory Quill from Winchester, Robert J. Quinn Jr. from Lynn, Adnan Ramadani from Winthrop, Michael Raymond from Mansfield, Shane Rio from Attleboro, Charles Roberts from Williamstown, Donald Roberts from Springfield, Gil Rodriguez from Methuen, Robert Rapolo from Boston, Roy R. Rose Jr. from Mashpee, Robert J. Roy from Millbury, Richard Russell from Lawrence, George A. Sanders Sr. from Littleton, John A. Savageau from Bridgewater, Ronnie Sina from Everett, Dana Sheehan from Nahant, Daniel Sheehan from Charlestown, Bernardino Silva from New Bedford, Mark Silvestri from Revere, Ernest J. Smith from Brockton, David Salamini Sr. from Lynn, Nancy Souza from Mattapoisett, John F. Stone from Auburndale, Richard B. Stratton Jr., North Reading, Joshua A. Summers from Scituate, Ali Tamaro from Taunton, Ernest Taylor from Somerville, Ronald L. Tim II from Centerville, Calvin Titus from Marblehead, David Triplett from Haverhill, Meredith Tewitt from Boston, Peter Walters from Abington, Thomas Washington from Arlington, Michael Whalen from Hopkinton, Roxanne L. Whitbeck from Plymouth, Malika Whitley from Boston, Peter Whitman from Andover, and Edward Wiesek from Ware. To all of our honorees, thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your enduring commitment to our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a resounding round of applause for our honorees. You can sit down. To our honorees, once again, thank you for your service and your continued impact on your communities. We now invite all honorees to join us outside of the chamber at the grand staircase for a group photo and refreshments provided by our partners at the Military Friends Foundation. Staff members are here to provide direction and assistance. Thank you all for being with us today. This concludes the program for the second annual Military Appreciation Day. Please keep the middle aisle clear for the governor, and her guests can exit the chamber. Thank you.
All right, good job. Outstanding job, well done.
I'll catch you, Sean.